In this video, we will take my dad's betta fish tank that is built with artificial plants and rocks and turn it into a fully natural ecosystem with live plants and driftwood. Now let's go back to where it all started. This is my dad's betta fish, Chrono, who he got after watching some of my videos. But as most beginners in this hobby do, he got a pack of plastic plants, decorations, and some colored gravel. The thing is, these plants are sharp and can rip Chrono's fins, and they don't provide much of a life for our friend. So after teaching my dad more about the hobby, he agreed to let me start from scratch and give Chrono an awesome place to live. To start, I had to get him out of the tank so I could do some remodeling, which was difficult because he really didn't want to be caught. Eventually he came around, and it was time to put him in a temporary home. Thankfully I have a super peaceful tank where he can spend a few days. Once I put him in, I could tell he didn't love all the extra company, so I had to make quick work of constructing his private new tank. To start, I drained all of the water out of the tank. And then one by one, I removed the artificial decorations. After that, I used a net to get all the colored gravel from the bottom of the tank. Next, I removed the filter and set it to the side so that we could start the build. This tank didn't have a light before, so that's going to be our first new addition. Then I put a cup full of nutrient-dense substrate in the middle of the tank where our plants will go. I have a tank that is full of sand mixed with substrate, so I decided to use that for this build because it is full of beneficial bacteria, which will help make it safe to immediately add Chrono into this tank. The whole time I was editing this video, I kept thinking about how this looks just like cookie dough. To start the hardscape, I'll be using 2 pieces of driftwood. The lighter colored piece is the only thing in this whole build which didn't come from an already established tank. I placed them both in the direct center of the tank with one overlapping the other. Now it's time for our plants, which are relatively small now but can grow very tall over time. I think it will look neat to plant them in the natural slots of the driftwood. I hope that eventually these get super tall and fill in all the extra space. Next up, I'll be adding a few foreground plants to give the tank some more variety. I've used these plants before, and they tend to grow really fast and are super hardy. Now it's time to fill up the tank with water, but not before spilling a bunch on the floor. This water is half from the aquarium Chrono is currently in and half fresh to make the transfer easier on him. After quickly fixing the indent the water created, it's time to add in our filter, which is still full of beneficial bacteria. This is essential for keeping our water clean and producing some surface agitation because soon we'll be adding in shrimp. Next up, it's time to add in our heater, which Chrono's old tank was missing. The plants in this tank like lots of food, so I'll be adding in a few root tabs, which provide extra nutrients. These are pretty neat because they look like pills that you just put in the substrate and then they provide nutrients for up to 3 months. I think so far the build looks really good, but it's still missing one key thing that will help Chrono to feel right at home. And that thing is tannins, which is the tea color that you will see in lakes and ponds. I'll get these tannins by boiling some Indian almond leaves. What's neat about tannins is they help reduce stress and also have some health benefits for fish. After about 20 minutes of boiling, I'm going to add the leaves into the tank. After spreading them around, I'll add in the water from the pot, which has now cooled down. Then I'll give the tank a quick stir and we'll let it sit overnight. The next day, the tank's water parameters are pretty much perfect, so I'll be adding in 5 blue dream shrimp to help keep the tank clean. After drip acclimating them for about 30 minutes, I pour them in and they immediately take off. Right away, I noticed that one of the shrimp has a ton of eggs and will soon be a mom. The other shrimp all hang out at the bottom, getting used to the new place and looking for food. I think they might be discussing who the father is. Now that the tank is fully complete, it's time to add Chrono into his newly built home. I think he's ready to go because he doesn't try to escape the net this time. I put him into a cup and drip acclimate him for a while to get him used to the new tank water. After some time has passed, it's finally time to add Chrono into his new home. Right away he's shy, hanging out at the top of the tank, but eventually he makes his way to the bottom to interrogate some shrimp. I think he wants them to know that this tank was built specifically for him and that he's in charge. Before he turns one of the shrimp into lunch, I decide to get some frozen bloodworms thawed out so that we can feed him a proper meal. The smell of the worms intrigues him, and he can't help but investigating and eventually taking a bite. I think he's happy he waited to eat these instead of a shrimp. Speaking of shrimp, one of the bold ones decides to wander into Chrono's food pile to see what the fuss is all about. At first he walks away because he's scared Chrono will eat him if he eats his food, but eventually he can't resist and comes back for a snack. This proves to be the wrong decision because after he steals a piece, Chrono comes over to put him in check. He takes a bite of one of the worms in front of the shrimp to make it well known that this food pile is his and his alone. Eventually he swims off, having made his point, and I think the shrimp will stick to eating algae and biofilm from here on out. After that, it's time to turn off the lights and check back in tomorrow. I decided that Chrono probably wants a place to rest near the top of the tank, so I decide to make him 2 hammocks. If you've ever been to a fish store, you've probably seen these plastic leaf hammocks that you can buy. That's basically the idea I'm going for here, except I'm using real plants instead of plastic. All it takes is 1 or 2 drops of aquarium-safe superglue and a suction cup to make these. Then I add them in on opposite sides of the back wall. The cool part about these plants is that they prefer to be attached to something like the suction cup, because if you bury their roots, they will rot and the plant will die, so the way they're set up here should work perfect. Right away, Chrono comes to check them out and seems to be thrilled with his new addition, swimming around in excitement. Now it's time to teach Chrono a trick. To start, I'll drop in some pellets for betta fish to get him used to eating off of the surface. It doesn't take him long to recognize that my hand means that food is on its way. Once he's hanging out at the top of the surface expecting food, I'll dip my finger into the water and stick a pellet to the end of it, hanging it just out of the water. He then makes a decision to leap out of the water and grab the pellet off of my finger in one smooth motion. Successfully within 15 minutes, we've taught Chrono a trick. Overall, I think Chrono is more excited than I am with how this build turned out. It went from artificial to natural in just a few simple steps. Thank you for watching. Please comment your thoughts or what you want me to build next, and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. Have a great day.